Okay.
All right. I'll call the meeting to order, and then could we get a roll call, please?
Yeah, Commissioner Canopa,
Here.
Roller,
I'm here.
Anderson,
Here.
Stone Road,
Here.
Belatico,
Here.
Thompson, Graham. Do not see her, and Jill was going to be absent this evening.
Okay. All right. And business from the public. Debbie said that nobody had signed up, and I don't see anybody additional online, so we can skip that piece and go down to approval of minutes for the March 6, 2024. And if there isn't any questions or any changes needing to be made on the minutes, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes as is.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Okay. And who was the second? Nick?
Bill.
Or no, Bill? Okay. And any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And anyone opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, got that done. Now, next is Kim. These are your items, I assume. Legacy Garden.
Kim, you're muted.
Hi, thanks. I was really getting into it. So thank you. Appreciate the time tonight. I'm here to represent on behalf of the Albany Parks and Recreation Foundation, our 501c3 companion. And you've seen in the newspaper online that we are doing a legacy giving campaign. And down at Monteith River Park, one of the elements that we're adding down there on the side of a bathroom, yes, is this beautiful metal and vinyl flower garden. And so this is still conceptual. We're tweaking it a little bit, but I wanted to just let you all be aware of it if you're interested, or if you know anybody that might be. Petals can be purchased anywhere from $150 up to $3,000. And the funds that are raised will go to help offset continued not necessarily general operations and maintenance down there, as that will be taken care of in-house. But even though we got all of this new equipment and everything, and these beautiful new facilities, we weren't given any additional FTE or additional revenue from the city or the Cara district in order to help maintain. So any money that is collected after we cover the costs of the hard materials of this will go into the foundation as a line item specifically set aside for if anything breaks or we have to do replacements or improvements or anything like that. So the call for the first round of names is May 24th. So that way we can have them printed and installed by our opening on the 4th of July. We'll be selling them, and when I say we, the foundation will be selling them at all of our concerts. So if anybody is interested, please go ahead and pass along the information. And I thank you for the time.
So Kim, how are they going to describe it? What is it? What material would be used? Just
Sure.
or...
So it'll be on aluminum. It will be vinyl. So that way it wears and it can't be, it'll wear uniformly. So yeah, it'll be names on vinyl.
So, oh, great. So I love it. Any questions? Oh, I see Joyce. Joyce came on. So hello, Joyce.
Hi there. I'm really here.
Yeah, so wonderful. Thank you. Okay, and was that it then, Kim, on Legacy Garden? Okay.
Just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yep. No, that's just such a great idea. So it looks lovely. Now the possible amendment to the Albany Municipal Code. Rick and Jay.
I'm going to turn that mostly over to Jay. I just wanted to say I really like the work he's doing as the city forester. Makes my life so much easier. But he's doing a great job, and he's got some things that he and Bill and some others have been talking about for possible amendments. So you've got those in front of you. I'll let him talk about that. And also the general tree issues. He's going to run right into that one too, because he's been researching some issues there too. So I'm going out and letting Jay come in.
Okay.
All right, so for tree code updates, this is what I came up with. It should be in your packet there, 7.98.020 definitions. We'd like to change the definition of remove or removal of a tree from cutting it down, just how you would normally cut down a tree, to either cutting down or removing 40% or more of the crown, trunk, or root system of a tree, or to damage a tree, to cause a tree to decline or die. And I've listed a few things in here. Topping, which is a really nasty pruning practice that shouldn't be done to trees, or toxic substances, compacting the soil around the tree with equipment, storing materials. I basically just took the language, I think, from the Salem City Code, but theirs pretty good. So, and then, yeah, to reiterate that the term removal does not include normal trimming or pruning of trees. So that's the big one, in my opinion. And I guess the other big one is in the permits required section 7.98.040. I would like to tighten up the restrictions or tighten up the protection of Oregon white oak and Willamette Valley ponderosa pine. They talk in circumferences in the city code, so I just took 20 inches and calculated that as a circumference, which comes to 5¼ feet. I know we had talked about maybe tighten those up a little bit more. I know Bill had some suggestions about that. I meant to call you, Bill. I kept getting distracted. I'm sorry. But the reasons I kind of went with this is because one, I kind of want to stay consistent with the other communities in the region. None of our codes are exactly the same, but we're kind of all in the same. We will all be in the same ballpark, I think, with this, giving increased protection to Oregon white oak. Two, I want to bring something to the city council that they're not gonna balk at when they look. A reasonable, not a huge change to the code. And three, I want to make sure that whatever changes, it's something that our urban forestry program can handle. Right now, we're able to provide pretty excellent customer service. We're able to get back to people with tree requests within a week right now. And any changing of the code in this way is going to create more work for us. And I'd like for us to continue to have that good record of customer service. And then some development code stuff too, and that's just taking the language from the regular tree code and applying that to the development code as well. Felling includes removing 40% of the crown or doing anything to the tree that's going to harm or kill the tree. So yeah, that is what I came up with on this. Does anybody have any questions?
Yep, I think Joyce does.
So again, my apologies because I'm the new person and I
Mhm.
may have missed prior discussions. I did read everything that came across and I read the old documentation and the new words. And I am wondering, other than what you just said, to be in line more with Salem and other communities, what's the motivation for changing this language?
So right now, it's certain trees are protected, certain trees over a certain diameter, but they're protected from being cut down, literally severed at the base and cut down. Now, there's other things that are technically legal that people can do to trees that will cause them to decline over time, like excessive pruning,
Right.
compaction, stuff like that. None of that was actually in the code. And, these communities surrounding Albany do account for those types of tree activities that cause the tree to decline. So we just wanted to broaden up the definition of remove to make it so, certain activities with these trees would be restricted.
I think I wondered also if that includes or impacts public utilities, because I know that when I see trimming around power lines, it often seems at the detriment of the tree.
Right, right. And there's not a whole lot we can do about that. Pacific Power, they basically own a certain amount of airspace, around their line. So they have to get their clearance when they prune. And often that is, a topping cut or, a removal of a large percentage of the branches. We have a pretty good relationship with Pacific Power. I understand that they're trying to do what they need to do. And a lot of times we'll work together to kind of find solutions that kind of work well for both the city and the power company. But yeah, as far as the topping, there's not a lot I can do.
So that 40% rule does not include any public utility then? And,
It would not.
I hear you, and I'm appreciative that you're saying that you do have a working relationship so that when potentially severe cuttings will happen, you'll probably know about them.
I know when they're in town, I talk to all the people who do the permitting, the people who set up the work. In cases when they want to do removals, sometimes we'll work with them and try to get a replacement tree out of them. But as far as them going down First Street and cutting back all those ash trees, I might not necessarily know about it the day that they're doing it, but I'll know they're in town. I'll know enough to know if I get a phone call about it, I can tell people what's going on.
And Sharon, I have another question, but let me know if there's appropriate time here or not.
Mm-hmm.
Are we okay? So it's
Is-
kind of about the development code. And again, I'm really seeking to understand, guys. So if I'm slowing us down, I apologize, but I'm since I'm new, I'm trying to really get the lay of the land here. So I notice because I drive that street frequently, along Ellingson where all the new developments going in, that the old grove of very old trees was just cut down. And I wonder, like, how does that happen when somebody petitions for a development, do they have to address the trees that are standing on the property or not? And again, this might be me asking in the wrong place, but just shoo me where you need to.
Yeah.
Jay, do you want me,
Yeah.
do you want me to take that one or do you
Oh.
want to take it?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
thanks.
So traditionally, Albany has believed that you have deep property rights. And so that if you go through the development process, we have not been able to, and we've not had a council who's wanted to restrict people's property rights. Now, we try to get some voluntary help with it sometimes. I know the exact place you're talking about on Ellingson. But that's just kind of the way that works these days, and not a lot we can do about it. So again, it's the one that they're having a lot of consternation about up by the fire station in North Albany too.
Mhm.
That was a property that had a number of good trees on it, white oaks and that.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, development wins out because of the belief of private property rights. We try to do what we can, and over the years, we've had some success and we've had some failures. And we have people at this point, they know that they're going to get what they want, so they do what they please. Um,
It was so
so it's not
shocking
what we
to
want.
drive down
Mhm.
Ellingson and just see all that light where it hadn't been there before. But what I'm hearing you say is that as part of putting in for permitting for developments, that the standing urban forest, I'll use that word because it looked like a forest on that property. That is not a consideration in any part of the development applications for the land.
Well, it is mentioned, and they have to go by the rules. And the rules some of them are set by the state, some of them are local. For instance, that one, there's a lot of things I said, there's a lot of things I wrote they did what they wanted to do. So, it's a two-edged sword. I recognize people's property rights. Um, I'll get on my soapbox just a tiny bit. Um, if somebody's had a piece of property for 50 years and they want to do something a little bit different, I have a lot more sympathy than the developer comes in, buys the property and says, "Oh, we got to take every stick of tree off of it." And that's problematic. So, but it's the world we live in. Our role is to try to do what we can to protect the urban forest. And there's a lot of that goes a lot in North Albany has been people, the last few places that have been going in North Albany, there's been a lot of neighbors saying, well, you can't do that. But those same neighbors, they did that to put their houses in. So it's just a funky situation. So I'll get off the soapbox now, but that Jay, I'm pretty right on that, right? Is that where you're at too?
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. And my final word here is that I thought it would be pretty ironic if they cut down all the trees and then named that development the Oaks or something like that.
Yeah. So Joyce, are you talking about the oak trees that were on Ellingson and Lochner, that corner? Or which ones?
There were those, and then there were a group that were also further to Columbus.
Mhm.
And I think Rick I mean, there were 3 large stands of old trees, and I think they're all gone now.
Oh,
At one
gee,
point
yeah.
there was. Yeah, at one point there was.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
all
they're-
gone now, Sharon, like just because of
Yeah.
this development.
Yeah. So history to that, probably a good 25 years ago, when they first were going to develop that, I took it to Luba, me and a group of other folks, and the developer then knew we were going to win because there was no long range plan in our comp plan for that development to annex it in. So we came up with an agreement with the developer to drop the Luba suit, and that was to protect that grove, that oak grove that's right on Columbus Street. And it was to take 5 acres of land and dedicate to the city for a park. So then after years sitting there, that developer sold the property. It still stayed the agreement with them. And then all of a sudden, another 10 years, that developer sold it. So then it was too long, like the statute of limitations that the city could not be able to enforce that then. But man, we tried.
Yeah.
Tried years back. So, but
It's-
like Rick says, the developers kind of always win each time. So
Darn it. Darn it.
No.
It's like those trees were as old as the heritage tree by the mall. I mean,
Oh,
yeah, they were
Mhm.
stunning.
Yeah,
Well-
it's heartbreaking for me to see that. So
Thank you for thanks for letting me be on my soapbox there.
Okay, let's see. Bill, did you have any questions over?
I did. The only one suggestion I would want to make on the proposed tree ordinance changes is to have all the trees at 20 inches in diameter instead of just the white oak and the pine tree. I think it'd make it easier to understand the law if all trees are included. And when you're looking at a 20-inch in diameter tree, if you're taking like a Doug fir and at 20 inches diameter, that tree would be 100 years old. And if it's a 24 inches in diameter, it's probably 120 years old, just for context. So that would be my proposal, is to have all trees at the 20 to be at 20 inches in diameter, that change.
So are you looking at under number 3? Is that where you're looking at?
Well, where you have the part where the white oak and the
For
white
the
oak
white oak.
and
Okay,
the ponderosa to be 20. I would want all trees to be at 20. Would be my propose, or if we take a vote on it, or
mm-hmm.
I mean,
Okay, so
that is
yeah, go ahead. It's
that is-
listed here at 6 1/2 feet in circumference.
right, which is which is 20 inches in diameter or 24 inches in diameter, roughly.
Uh-huh.
That is something we could do some from the forestry end. We, meaning Jay, could do some research on and see what other other communities in a little larger swath have done. I think those two are really important to do, and yeah, we could certainly take that back and look at it. And then I just want to make one other comment on that, on Jay's tree code things he's been working on. It seems fun. It seems on the surface, when you talk about all the things that people could, you really could do that to trees. We've seen people do that, every one of them. And we've seen people, slowly poison the tree that we wouldn't let them take out. But all of a sudden that tree starts, yeah, I mean, people do this stuff. So I think that that the things he's asking on that part are really good. So I'm going to get off now.
When do you think we'd want to take a vote on all this? On these proposals to push it toward?
Right. So our vote would be for us to do a recommendation to the city council
Right.
from the Parks and Tree Commission. And so with that, do you want to have Jay go back to see if any other cities are less than the 24 inches? Bring it back to us the next meeting, or do you want to propose it then as a smaller? The only thing, Bill, is I agree about the 20-inch, but which I could see that to be more applied to the ponderosa pine or the white oak. There might be some pushback from people in the community that if we're going to be making it smaller, that it could end up applying for other tree species that grow a lot faster, like your firs. So it might be a hindrance to our efforts here. So it just depends on the mood of the council.
Right. Well, if we could vote on it tonight, that would be great.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Go forward.
Kim has her hand up.
So, Kim?
Hi, sorry. I just had 2 points. One, at this point, we have a tentative opportunity to be on the council's agenda for May 6th and May 8th to pass this. If we hold off, and that's when potentially Jay and Rick would present to council and get feedback and potentially see if we can move it forward with an ordinance. If we are interested in making substantial changes, I would say that maybe we don't make the May cutoff. Instead, we look to June so that we could have another meeting for us to discuss this. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And then I had one other question, and I feel bad, I should have asked this earlier. I know a while ago, Jay, you were talking about potentially adding in the code of trees of, I hate to say lesser value, but that people could go ahead and take those out without contacting you.
Such as invasive species?
Yes, thank you. And I remember they had quite a few lists of them. Is that something that we're still interested in doing, or has the group decided that's not something that we've got the appetite for right now?
I looked into that a little bit, and I guess where I landed was I would rather have somebody call me and check than to cut down a tree and be like, oh, I thought it was this kind of tree. The code gives me the power to look at a tree, and if it's a species of tree that's either invasive or it's having a detrimental effect on our natural areas, to designate that tree as so, and just give them the permit. It's easy to issue a permit, so I'd rather just people let me know.
That
Awesome.
makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what
Bill,
would
just
you
so I'm-
like to do?
Sharon, just
Oh,
one
Aaron?
question. Bill, just so we're clear, we're talking about 1 foot difference, right? Between if I'm reading the code right, between the white oak, because it's 5 1/4 feet versus 6 1/2 feet. Okay, so 1 1/4 foot difference.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Is the growth rate on is this because the growth rate on the Oregon white oak and the Willamette Valley ponderosa is slower, or is it because it's just
Yeah.
protected?
Mm-hmm.
It's because those trees are pretty quickly disappearing from our region. And yeah, the Willamette Valley Ponderosa pine. And I don't know of any other communities that protect this tree, but I have noticed that we have barely any of them anymore. So I figured I'd try to shoehorn that one into. And the white oak is one of the most quickly disappearing trees in the state.
Mhm.
I think a ponderosa and a Doug fir grow about equal.
About equal. Okay.
They compete with each other if you go over the Cascade, over the just on the east side of the Cascades, you see them kind of competing at equal heights, or if you go to Southern Oregon.
So you
bit
gotta,
slower.
so you have two options. One would be to delay and have staff come back with more information, or have the motion to bring it, move this forward to the council. And then you decide on, make the motion on what size you'd like to have brought forward. So, yeah.
I would
Nick?
like. Oh,
Yeah, I
Nick?
guess to maybe add to the discussion of whether we add that. Like Bill, I'm very sympathetic to keeping trees. I would much rather keep trees. I'm new to the politics of all of this, I guess. And it seems like I'd rather at least protect these two trees and kind of have it be more likely to pass than risk that. That's kind of my opinion. But I would certainly, I don't know what the politics are of like, let's get this thing passed and then maybe in 6 months we propose, let's actually change all of this to 20 inches and see if they accept that. But at least we got the important parts ratified, I guess.
Okay, any thoughts? Anna or Bill, anything else, or?
well, a lot cities further north toward Portland, like Oswego, their restrictions are a lot less, like 12 inches in diameter, maybe even 16 inches in diameter. So 20 inches is if you go look at a 20-inch diameter tree, it's going to be a 75-foot tall tree. I mean, that's, and we're losing a lot of our canopy in our cities, in our city. So that's why I proposed 20 inches on, and we could vote on it, 20 to 24, if we want to take that vote tonight, or we want to table it to next
So-
meeting, that's fine.
Let me ask this question this is going to be more to the staff, is if we lower it down to the 20 inches and city council balks at it, would you be willing to have city council adjust the code back to the 6.5 feet? I mean, they can easily do that, right? I mean, that's not something that it has to come back to us.
The council can change it at that time, but they might just say to bring it back to the commission to look at it, to make another recommendation. So it's sort of up to them.
Yeah,
But
I think if we make the motion if we move it down to 20 and we make the motion to approve it at 20 with the caveat that says that the staff can let council know that if it comes up, not instigate it, but if it comes up,
Right.
then we'll approve the 6.5 foot, right? I mean, that's the other option. So.
Yeah.
And that's the only concern, is getting it past city council. I'm with Bill. I like the fact that the first thing he said was making the code easy and standardized, and making sure we're not going, okay, this tree is this dimension, this tree is this dimension, it just makes it easier to read, and where you don't have to have an eye chart to figure out what size of tree you actually have and what tree you have.
Yeah. Okay. Anna, you haven't weighed in yet. Any thoughts or?
Yeah, I would go with Jay's recommendation. I trust that he did the research, so and yeah, I'm more interested in it passing.
Okay. All right. So what we need is someone to make a motion, which route you would like to go.
I would make a motion to have, this is Bill, to have all trees at 20 inches in diameter. And
Okay.
keep everything else the same on Jay's proposals.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. And is there a discussion on this? So this would be actually a recommendation to the city council, and then that would be just changing under the size for the 20-inch instead of the 24-inch.
And this would be changing, this would be changing actually,
The current code, yeah.
yeah, but we want to make sure we get the other changes in there too, right?
Right. That
Right.
would be the only change. Everything else would be,
Yeah, recommend to
Well,
the city council with all the changes, but that one changed from 6.5 to 5.25.
right.
Yeah, so motion would be to recommend to the city council staff's recommendation. Or actually, basically the ordinance that's presented to us.
With the one change.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
So yeah, the motion would be to recommend the ordinance, amending the ordinance for all trees, and the size would be changing to 20-inch. Okay, any discussion?
I guess Sharon, you might be able to answer this better. Aaron proposed that like we put it there with 20 inches, but no, like kind of pre-approving 24 on the spot. But is that kind of negotiation normal at city
Well,
council?
You don't want them to know that ahead of time. It's gonna go to 24. And so it's best to say that this was our recommendation at the 20, and it was mostly to preserve the Oregon white oak and the Willamette Valley pine.
Could we
so-
amend it a second time to go back if they reject it? And then go with the second?
Bill, I think once we approve this, we can go back and make a motion to recommend to allow staff to say that we had recommended the 24-inch if the city council didn't like the 20. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
not put in this one, because this is one that we don't want them to know that,
Right.
we're good either way, but we'd prefer the 20-inch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They could still view our video here and
Yeah.
what the conversation was, but
But at
it's
least they
just
understand
more-
yeah.
we just show that it's the importance of really preserving the white oak and going to that 20-inch. So that, okay. All right, we have a motion on the table, and all those in favor say aye.
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 And I think could we get a roll call vote, Debbie?
Canopa,
Yes.
Roller,
No, we're voting to switch it down to 20. Is that it?
Right.
Yeah, no.
Anderson,
Sure, I'll say yes.
Stone Road,
Yes.
Belatico,
Yes.
Thompson Graham,
Yes.
Okay, all right. Motion carried. And thank you, folks. And thank you, Jay, also. You did a great job and working through all this and doing a lot of research. So
Thanks.
Hey, Kim, do we need a motion that allows staff to say that we had agreed to the 24-inch if council talks at the 20?
You certainly can. That's totally fine. Council doesn't necessarily need to have a approval of all elements in order to be able to move it through. And so your recommendation of the 20 inches kind of says, here's the new language that we're interested in, here's what we are pushing for. So you certainly can, but I don't necessarily think that not having it is going to stop the code from moving through.
Yeah, what my concern would be them just sending it back to us based upon that one verbiage, and then we're back to what Jay's original thing is. I mean, we don't need to revisit this knowing that it's just that one simple change, right? Because we're good either way. I mean, we just would prefer to have it the 20 inches. Okay.
right. Okay, all right. Anything else on this amendment? Rick or Jay or? Okay, all right. So we've been discussing this for a long time.
1 year, I think.
Finally did it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've worked hard on it too, Bill. I appreciate it. So, yeah. Okay, general tree issues. Rick.
Jay's gonna jump in on those because he's been studying them. He's so much better than I am at this stuff.
Yeah, we have an issue with Zelkovas downtown. We have some trees dying or dead.
Hmm.
Counted roughly around 10. They're trees that were planted recently during the downtown revitalization project some years back. So what I know so far is it's just one species of tree that's dying. So what that tells me is that it's either a pest or a pathogen, a species specific pest or pathogen. It could be like a woolly elm aphid, or it could be some type of root or heart rot disease. I'm not exactly sure which one of those it is yet. But I have it on my list to do a little bit more research and figure it out. So, yeah, not great.
Yeah, it's too bad.
I think they think they're Chinese elms. Is that what the ones you're referring to?
I think they're Zelkova trees. They're the it's like the columnar Mustachino Zelkova. Their leaves look a lot like
Yeah, that's it.
elm.
Yeah, I had them planted, so that's what they are.
I think, and there's also 3 or 4 of them dead, I think, on Ellsworth Street. I walk downtown quite a bit, so I think what I noticed is that the ones that are dying may be more from the heat in the very hot summers we've had the last 3 years, and the ones that are more protected by the buildings and then on the north side seem to thrive. And I think, and then when they're younger trees, that they can die from extreme drought. That's research I've kind of checked on. So,
And I think maybe the heat and the recent drought has exasperated what was already going on with them. I think they've been kind of sick for a while. But I'm going to go back and look at some Google Street images from a couple years ago because I think they were looking not so great last year either.
right, I think that's when is there a plan can they be replanted? Because I know we have the big, the Monteith and then the reopening and all that. Is there a plan to replant trees downtown?
Yeah, I think we should have them replaced. If it is some sort of disease or bug, I would like to have them removed sooner than later. And as of right now, our replacements are occurring during the winter time. We're getting towards the end of tree planting season. So I wouldn't recommend us planting any trees until the weather switches from hot to cold again.
Okay. And there was one thing so I would kind of a separate topic. There's I think there was some discussion from people in the area about, and I don't even know if this is the city's responsibility. There's a leaning tree that's on 9th and Geary Street across from Arby's. I don't know if anybody's driven out that way and seen there's like a mid-sized tree that's kind of leaning over toward Highway 99 or 9th Street.
On Friday, I looked at that tree and I reported it to ODOT. That's ODOT's right away right there. And I talked to their dispatcher person and let them know what was going on. I let them know that I was a city forester and I went and looked at the base of the tree and it's falling down. So I wish they would have removed it by now because it's been almost a week. But.
Yeah.
Jay,
Yeah.
I work for ODOT, and the foresters actually work in my section.
Okay.
So if you want to, could you like email it to me and I could send it directly to a forester?
Sure. That's
yeah. ODOT is having significant budget issues. And so, but if it's a safety issue, you know, it goes up the rung faster. So if you
Okay,
just forward me the information, I can
sure.
send it to our foresters for evaluation.
Thank you.
Yep.
Because if it falls, it's gonna land on the street, isn't it? Isn't it
Yes.
that? Yeah. So which is the highway and ODOT,
Yep.
we're
Yep.
gonna have an
Yeah.
emergency.
Yep.
Plus somebody's car could get hit. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. They're dangerous.
yeah. Okay. Is that it on the trees downtown?
I have
Carousel?
one other.
Uh-huh.
Sorry about that. There, what is it? The funeral home right near, is it on Washington Street or near Loafers Restaurant?
Oh,
They've
Fishers?
seen-
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the near Loafers, Fishers, I guess. There's 3 dead trees in their front of their building.
Oh,
3
wow.
maple trees, and they're pretty good
Oh.
size.
Do you know if that's city right away or if it's private?
It's on the between the
planter?
sidewalk and the street.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll have a look.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's 3 of them. They're dead.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Probably the
Okay.
heat. Summer. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you can't miss them.
Okay, Jay, anything else?
No, I think that's all I have for y'all today.
Okay. All right. And Rick, did you have anything else on trees? No, nope. Okay. Then action items were none, and reports and updates, capital projects update. Kim.
Sure. So this time around, we only have one update. I guess I should say Meadow Ridge Park, we had our official opening in April. We had about 150 people out there. The weather cleared up just in time. It was a real highlight of my career. So we got a great spread in the DH with some really nice photos. And yeah, it's nice to be able to celebrate and get people out. So thankful for that one. The only real update that I have is about Deerfield Park playground replacement. And that is that on April 1st, we submitted a $485,000 grant for local governments for the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department to go towards that project. They are in the process of reviewing now. We've tweaked, they've had a couple questions that we've been able to answer. In June, there'll be 15-minute presentations by everybody. I believe there were I can't remember the amount of applicants. I apologize for that. In total, they've got $33 million to give out, and all the projects combined came to $39 million. So I am hopeful. But anyways, we'll give our presentation in June, and then we'll find out if we're funded in September. So a lot of our construction plans and final design plans will be determined based on if we get that money. And even if we do, what construction costs will be at that point when we go out to bid. So that is our capital improvement update.
Okay. Any questions for Kim? Okay, thank you, Kim. And program.
I had a
Joyce-
question.
Joyce had a question.
I did
Oh,
have a
yes,
question.
Joyce. Uh-huh.
I understand that we're gonna wait till the money comes in, but is after the second meeting, was there any leaning toward which components were gonna be? I mean, I was very curious
Oh,
because
sure.
after talking to a lot of people around town, but not in that neighborhood, say dog park is really important. I've heard a lot of people saying community garden is a great thing. So many people have so many great ideas, but where are we landing on, what are your hunches?
Sure. So even though there is a lot of space out there, it's almost 11 acres. The infrastructure as far as parking and all that kind of even access in and out, because there isn't a through road, you kind of got to do a U-turn and come back out, is not great. It is also a very well protected and loved park, and the neighbors around us have let us know very, very much what they're interested in and what they're not interested in. We don't have the money or the resources or want to put in parking out there, so it kind of limits what we're able to do. We did mention a dog park, and we put that on 2 of the proposals actually, and they were shot down pretty much almost unanimously. With that said, I have had many people in South Albany who do not live in that neighborhood also say, no, why are you not doing this? So in all honesty, I think if we ever look to develop our property down off of Ellingston and Lochner, I think that's where we put a dog park, because those, it's really dense. They're small yards, they're smaller lots. It's very walkable. And we could build it from the scratch up. You know, that's something that we could build into it. And they're newer neighbors, so they might be more open to a dog park. So essentially, for the design that we've got moving forward, it will have a from east to west, a pervious concrete sidewalk, which is great. We don't have that currently. We'll have a full court basketball court, an improved playground. We will have the disc golf course go in permanently, and we will have around the north side, a bark mulch trail that goes all the way around. So if we don't get the $485,000, we're probably getting one section of concrete path and a much smaller playground, and probably a bark mulch path, but that will be, well, we could probably lean on our disc golf folks to still be able to add that in, but it would just be greatly reduced. No problem. But yeah, I've answered quite a few questions about dog parks, and well, I would love to put one down there. Well, I say down there meaning the southern part of town. Deerfield is not the appropriate location.
Okay, Aaron.
Is Deerfield considered a neighborhood park?
It is.
Okay.
Most neighborhood parks are about between 2 and 5 acres. So at 10, almost 11 acres, it's hard not to want to treat it differently. But it just doesn't have the infrastructure to be able to support anything larger than that.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, it's a neighborhood park. You listen more to the neighbors than you do anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That's it on capital projects and program updates.
Rick, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I want you to, because I don't want to steal any of your thunder. If
Oh,
you got
no, it's
something.
okay.
No, go for it.
So you'll be hearing from me for the next couple meetings, as Rose is out on leave. And so I will try to do her portion justice. We have announced over the last couple weeks our River Rhythms and Summer Sounds lineup, in addition to Northwest Art and Air. So as of today at 10 a.m., all of our performers are out there. We're excited. It's a really great mix of folks. I think anybody in town can look at our lineup and say, oh, there's one that I really want to go to. And that feels really good to be able to program for a wide variety of folks. The Meadow Ridge opening, we are still in the process of recruiting. So if you have any folks that you think you would like to have them, or you think they would be a good fit for Parks and Recreation, it's all seasonal work at this point, but it's everything from outdoor, working with kids, lifeguards, cashiers. Heck, if anybody knows anybody who wants to drive a 14-passenger bus sporadically, let us know, as we have got a sweet gig for them. There's some German food in it possibly for them if they decide to take the gig. So so please continue to send folks our way. We are just kind of rolling along. This is where it gets really crazy. Rick will talk about how Parks is kind of in the thick of it right now, but yeah, this is what, how do I say this? All year round, we strive to provide great programs and opportunities. It's just in Oregon, when you've got 10 weeks of sunshine, everybody wants to be outside. So you've got a lot of programming to pack in a very short period of time. And so as a result, we step on the gas even more. So that's really all I've got at this point. Rick, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, she says that about the minibus because Rick ended up taking a trip today. It's a nice gig if somebody has the time to do it. Some things to know about the operations side. We are in our busiest season right now for operations. The way it works is operations gets really busy, and about July things stop growing, so it starts to slow down a little bit, and we can get on projects more. And that's about the time that program really starts up. So that's kind of how that goes every year. This is no exception. We've had some staffing just shortage. We have the staff, but there's been a number of reasons why they've been out. So we've had some shortage issues. Lehigh Park is on our agenda. We've got Kim ordered the stuff for the inclusive park there. That stuff's all supposed to show up in June. And in July, we will install that ourselves. July and August, we'll be doing that. Waverly Park, if you notice, besides the fountain, which Kim controls the colors on, so very tightly controls the colors on. There's bubblers in there trying to keep the algae or the growth out, and we're going to have the aquatic harvesters in again just to keep it where it needs to be so that we're in a really good spot. We're also doing some things to improve our opportunities at Waverly Park for programming, because with the fountain and with the duck going in, there should be more interest in the boats and the kayaks that we have down there. So we added a shed to give us a little more room to store stuff and keep stuff down there. So you'll notice that down there. The 4th of July is the day that we're planning on opening Monteith Park. The middle of June, the ugly construction fence is going in, and the next day the better looking program fence is going in. And so middle of June we'll be ready. We may do a little for groups like you if you want to come look at it, but we're going to try to keep that shut until July 4th. And then one thing I wanted to mention too is it's still in the application stage, but there's an application from a developer to remove 27 trees of size basically across from East Thornton Lake natural area across North Albany Road there. Jay is writing a response on that. Again, in most cases, development wins out, but there will be a great deal of public outcry about that one. So just know that that one's coming. And I don't remember exactly what the date it is that the meeting is on, that the pre-application meeting, but there it is. So I think those are the major things that I have. We're running along. We're behind. We are always behind from about March until July. Maintenance is behind. So we're trying to catch up on all that grass. We're trying to catch up on all that, all of those things, but a lot of them are time and weather related. Restrooms are open. I believe they're open today. We had to make sure somebody could shut them down, lock them up at night, and ball fields will be ready in another week. And so things are hopping. We're getting there. So that's what I got.
Okay, any questions of Rick? So good job, Rick. It is, I can imagine, we all probably see the weeds growing around our house. I can imagine what you have to deal with all the weeds in the park. So hard to keep up. Okay, no questions there. Any
Kim
other
has a question.
program?
Kim
Oh,
has
yes, Erin.
Sorry, I realize I'm going to ask for backsies. Two things. So one, if you are interested in touring, July 2nd or July 3rd, we could potentially put something together so if folks are interested, shoot me an email. If between work hours works or after 5 o'clock, let me know, and I'll see if I can get something on the schedule, and hopefully we'll be able to get most people down there for a half an hour to kind of take a poke around before the gates open on that Thursday. And then I would be amiss to also support our other citizen advisory group. The Arts Commission installs art every month in City Hall, and a community show just loaded in today. And the Arts Commission actually went out and wrote a grant for $1,800 to have receptions on First Fridays. So if you're
Okay.
heading out to the wine walk, potentially this Friday downtown, and you'll want to stop at City Hall from 5 until 6:30, we've got about 22 artists out there. So there'll be some light refreshments, and it'll be a way to support other citizen advisory volunteers.
Okay, thank you, Kim. I think there was one other person that is Lydia. Is that somebody that's on staff or? Oh no. Oh, Lydia. Yeah. Hi, Lydia.
So, good evening. I'm just here listening in. I spoke to Jay probably about 6 weeks ago about some concerns I had with a neighbor who cut down a very large and beautiful tree, and he let me know about this commission. So I checked out your website and just thought I would sit in and hear what you're all talking about, and maybe look for an opportunity to get involved myself.
Oh, wonderful. Great. So yeah, love to hear it. Well, thank you. Thank you for attending. So we're not used to getting, citizens to attend, so we appreciate that. So yeah, thank you, Lydia. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet all of you as well.
Yep. Okay. And then business from the commission. So Anna, did you have anything this evening? Oh, okay. Bill?
No.
Okay. Aaron? And Joyce? Nope. And Nick? Okay. The only thing I will just briefly mention is the Waverly Lake Ducks. So it is ready to be put back in. Usually you wait about Memorial Day weekend when the winds stop to put it back in the lake. But Kim and I are going to be meeting, and probably Rick needs to too, because I found out some information. I did reach out. It took me a while, but I found the Steve Fletcher made the duck 40 years ago, and he's passed away. So I got a hold of his son, and he gave me some suggestions on how we can be able to kind of restore the duck. So I'm not a duck restorer, so it's going to take some work to get this done. So, but at least it can get back in the lake for this year on that. But we need to kind of come up with a long-term plan on how we're going to keep the duck maintained. So with that, but okay, any questions with that? So I think that's it. If anything, staff have anything else, or anybody else? Okay, our next meeting would be June 5th. And with that, we are adjourned, folks. So thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thanks.